everybody, Wichita City Manager Robert Layton has just presented his proposed 2016-27 budget to the Wichita City Council. So we brought in our Chief Budget Officer, Mark Manning, to tell us more about it. Mark, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Laura Gail.
Will you start off by telling us about some of the highlights of the proposed budget?
Well, this week the City Manager released his 2016-2017 proposed budget, and that budget funds core priorities identified by the City Council. It does not require a mill levy increase, and it also includes reserve levels that we think are appropriate.
Any big changes from this budget to the previous one?
Well, the City Manager is including in his recommendation additional funding for some priority areas. For example, street maintenance we continually hear is a priority in our community, and the Manager has included an additional $250,000 for spot maintenance crews to try to improve our street maintenance activities. Illegal dumping is also an issue we hear a lot about, and the City Manager has included additional funding and positions in his budget to address the issue of illegal dumping and to improve the cleanliness of Wichita. Bike paths, we have a number of bike paths, and the Manager has included funding in his budget recommendation for additional maintenance on those bike paths and to make sure that they're maintained better. And finally, tree trimming. The Manager's budget includes additional funding for not only increasing the pruning cycles on public trees, but also to increase planting of new trees and removal of trees that are currently dead and due to the drought in the past. So our urban forest hopefully should appear much better in the future.
What role does community engagement play when you guys are trying to put this budget together? Because that's a pretty big document you have there.
Community engagement is essential to our budget process, and we've been fortunate this year that we had a lot of participation in our social media town halls. Those town halls generated over 1,000 comments, and those comments play a very important role in our budget process.
And so give me some examples of what you guys heard and how that impacted the budget.
We asked our citizens how they felt about street maintenance. Should we invest more money in street maintenance, or would they like better outcomes? And again, that played a role in one of the recommendations to add money in street maintenance. We talked about illegal dumping. Do you see illegal dumping as an issue? Should the city do a little bit better job of cleaning up illegal dumping? And again, we got very positive feedback that that was a priority.
And so if somebody's watching this and maybe they missed the town hall meetings on social media, are there other opportunities for them still to give feedback on the proposed budget?
Yes, there'll be at least 2 more public hearings. There'll be a public hearing on August 4th, and then the City Council is scheduled to adopt the budget on August 11th. And on both those occasions, the public could come to the City Council meeting and provide their input.
And how much is the proposed budget?
The proposed budget as proposed by the City Manager is slightly over $572 million. And that's funded from a variety of sources, including property taxes and water and sewer charges and a variety of other things. But the budget will total approximately $572 million.
So are we in better shape than we have been in previous years? I know previously we've had to make some pretty significant cuts.
Yes, our budget situation is in better shape this year certainly than it has been the last 4 or 5 years. That's in part due to a lot of the difficult decisions that we made over the last 4 or 5 years. I think during that process we have solidified our base, and we've got a very solid base now on which we can grow into the future. But it was due to those past decisions that we made over the last couple of years that made our position today relatively good.
And I know I've been seeing a lot of headlines about funding Wichita Transit. Will you give us an update on what's being discussed with that?
Well, funding for Wichita Transit has been challenged now for a little over a year, and the Manager presented his budget with a reduction of $2 million in transit because he's required by state law to present a balanced budget. But the City Council has directed him and staff to come up with ideas on how we can fill that deficit and how we can generate an additional $2 million as a short-term temporary solution to keep transit operating through 2016. And last Tuesday, the Manager recommended a package of options which would include shuffling some federal funds on projects and assuming lower costs on fuel, and also perhaps loaning some money from a reserve fund that the city has. And while those would be short-term in nature, those should bolster transit so that we will not have any significant service reductions in 2016.
And do you have any advice for people wanting to go through the budget document?
Yeah, the budget document, by the way, is available at www.wichita.gov, and there's a link in the banner. The budget can be kind of large, but it's broken into 2 volumes, and I would encourage readers to read the city manager's transmittal letter. That's about 9 pages. You can get a very good flavor for the budget and the budget issues if you read that letter.
Well, Mark, thanks so much for making time to explain the budget to us. It's a big document, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, Laura Gale.
And thank you for watching this City 7 NewsNow update. Make sure to go to wichita.gov to check out the budget documents. And don't forget to attend our public hearings. We'll leave you with those dates.